Fate has a gentle way of stepping into our lives when we least expect it. On an ordinary day, Yun, a young man with a quiet routine, crossed paths with Akari, a girl whose bicycle had suddenly broken down on the side of the street near his neighborhood. It was not a dramatic meeting, yet in that small instant, something profound began to unfold. Yun noticed her struggling, and instead of walking past, he chose to help. That choice, simple but meaningful, became the first thread in a story neither of them saw coming. When Yun bent down to fix the chain of her bicycle, their eyes met, and for a moment, the noise of the city seemed to fade. Akari thanked him with a smile that carried both relief and warmth. Gratitude quickly turned into conversation, and conversation turned into laughter. Though strangers just moments before, they realized they shared common interests, simple joys like movies, food, and the rhythm of everyday life. Before parting ways, they exchanged contacts, promising to stay in touch. Neither of them knew it yet, but this small act would shape the course of their future. In the days that followed, their friendship grew naturally. Text messages turned into daily conversations, each one a little longer, a little more heartfelt. Yun found himself waiting for her messages during quiet evenings, while Akari looked forward to hearing about his day. They shared stories, recommended films to each other, and even watched the same shows at the same time, sending their thoughts back and forth as though they were sitting in the same room. In these small exchanges, a bond was being built quietly, steadily, with no rush, only sincerity. What made their connection special was not just the joy they found in each other's company, but the care they showed when things weren't easy. On a day when Yun caught a cold, Akari made the effort to check in on him, reminding him to rest and drink warm tea. When Akari had a stressful day at work, Yun responded with patience, sending thoughtful words to lift her spirits. Their conversations were not just entertainment, they became a source of support and reassurance, teaching them both the value of compassion and understanding in human relationships. From the outside, their friendship might have seemed ordinary, yet within it was something extraordinary. Two people learning, step by step, that kindness has the power to transform strangers into companions. Through this beginning, we see a reminder that meaningful relationships do not always start with grand gestures. More often, they are born in quiet moments where empathy meets opportunity, where two people simply choose to show up for each other. And in those moments, fate gently opens the first door. As days turned into weeks, Yun and Akari's friendship blossomed into something deeper. What began as simple conversations soon became shared experiences. One weekend, Akari suggested they meet to watch a film together. Sitting side by side, they laughed at the same scenes, whispered their thoughts, and felt the comfort of being in each other's presence. For Yun, this was more than just spending time with a friend. It was a new rhythm in his life, one filled with warmth he hadn't known before. The connection grew stronger with each passing moment. Yun began to notice how Akari paid attention to small details about him. She remembered his favorite foods, the songs he liked, even the little quirks in his daily routine. Akari, too, found joy in Yun's thoughtfulness. He always listened carefully when she spoke, never dismissing her feelings, and often found ways to make her laugh when she needed it most. Their friendship was no longer just casual. It had become an essential part of their daily lives. One day, after a long conversation, Yun made a decision that marked a turning point. He handed Akari a spare key to his apartment. It was not given casually, but as a quiet symbol of trust. The gesture spoke volumes. He trusted her enough to let her into his personal world. Akari was surprised, touched, and deeply honored. She accepted it with a smile, understanding the unspoken meaning behind the act. From that day on, Akari began to visit more often. She brought small touches of warmth into Yun's space. Sometimes she cooked meals, filling the apartment with the aroma of home-cooked dishes. Other times she tidied up with care, transforming the simple rooms into a place that felt more alive. These weren't grand actions, but they carried deep meaning. Each visit was an act of kindness, each shared meal a step closer to something more profound. Yun, who had once lived alone in quiet routines, found joy in the changes. He looked forward to hearing Akari's footsteps at the door, to the laughter they shared while preparing dinner together, to the moments when silence between them felt natural and comforting. The apartment key was no longer just metal. It became a symbol of companionship, of two lives intertwining through trust and care. What makes this part of their story so inspiring is how ordinary actions reveal extraordinary truths. The way Akari set the table, the way Yun made tea while she studied, the way they both stayed up late talking about their dreams. These were not dramatic events, but they carried the weight of sincerity. Through such simple gestures, they were building a foundation strong enough to support something lasting. Relationships are not built only on excitement or grand moments, but on the consistency of care. It is in the quiet dinners, the shared chores, the gentle conversations, where love begins to take root. Yun and Akari may have started as strangers, but now their connection was shaping into something more resilient, more meaningful. And though they may not have spoken it aloud just yet, both could feel it. The friendship they nurtured was gently unfolding into love. As with every relationship, even the most beautiful ones, Yun and Akari eventually faced moments of tension. It wasn't anything dramatic or destructive, just the kind of differences that naturally arise when two lives begin to intertwine more closely.
ねえねえ、今日泊まってってもいい？
大丈夫だ。
うん。主人今日出張でいないから。
あ、そうなんだ。じゃあ、もちろん泊まってって。
やった。水取らないと風邪ひいちゃうよ。
もう取れたよ。
じゃあ、学校行ってくる。
うん、気をつけてね。
ね
何？
え、行ってらっしゃいのキスして。でも帰ってきたらまた一人か。嬉しいな。
来れるときは来るから我慢してよ。
わかった。じゃあ行ってきます。
いってらっしゃい。
セミ長引いてこんな時間になっちゃったよ。つむぎさんに会いたかったのに。
おかえり。
つむぎさん、どうして？
しばらくここにいてもいい？
もちろんいいよ。
ありがとう。
As with every relationship, even the most beautiful ones, Yun and Akari eventually faced moments of tension. It wasn't anything dramatic or destructive, just the kind of differences that naturally arise when two lives begin to intertwine more closely. One day, a small disagreement surfaced. Yun preferred to plan everything in advance, while Akari was more spontaneous. A simple discussion about how to spend the weekend grew into a quiet conflict neither of them expected. One day, a small disagreement surfaced. Yun preferred to plan everything in advance, while Akari was more spontaneous. A simple discussion about how to spend the weekend grew into a quiet conflict neither of them expected. Instead of letting the misunderstanding linger, Akari took a step back and thought about what mattered most. She reminded herself that this wasn't about winning an argument, but about valuing the bond they had built. She spoke to Yun with sincerity and kindness. "I just want us to enjoy our time together," she admitted, "even if we sometimes see things differently." Yun, hearing the sincerity in her voice, felt his own defensiveness soften. He explained that he simply wanted to make sure their time was meaningful. This small exchange became a turning point. Rather than pulling them apart, the disagreement opened a door to deeper communication. They began to understand that love was not just about sharing joyful moments, but also about navigating challenges with respect. What made their bond resilient was the way they approached these moments. Instead of focusing on the problem, they focused on the solution. Together, they discovered that differences are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow stronger as a team. Life gave them other small tests too. There were days when stress from work spilled into their conversations, moments when exhaustion made tempers shorter. But each time, they remembered what had brought them together in the first place: kindness, trust, and the willingness to be there for one another. Whenever misunderstandings arose, they chose dialogue over silence, empathy over pride. These experiences carried an important lesson for anyone who has ever built a relationship. True connection is not measured by the absence of conflict, but by the presence of respect and understanding when challenges appear. Yun and Akari's story shows us that disagreements are not signs of weakness. They are chances to strengthen the foundation of trust. By facing them with openness, they transformed friction into fuel for growth. In the end, what could have become a dividing wall instead became a bridge. Yun and Akari emerged from each disagreement not more distant, but closer, more aware of each other's needs, and more committed to the love quietly taking shape between them. Their story reminds us that love deepens not only in moments of harmony, but in the courage to embrace differences with grace. Yun and Akari realized that their meeting was more than chance. It was destiny shaped by kindness and trust. The apartment key was not just a key to a door, but to a shared future built on love, patience, and respect. Their story reminds us that true happiness often begins in the simplest moments and grows when we choose to care, listen, and walk together.